Thank you so much, Paige, and thanks, everyone. Very excited to chat with you today. As you just mentioned, I'm Brynn O'Donnell. This is my colleague, Kaitlin Donovan, and we're very excited to speak with you today about our work building the digital commons and trying to realize the benefits of decentralized storage for social good. Yes, we are from the social impact team across both the Filecoin Foundation and Filecoin Foundation for the Decentralized Web. And social impact is something that has always been of personal value to the both of us. So to hear a little bit of our backstories, I actually have a background in environmental conservation and sustainability initiatives. I've worked on everything from like national park conservation to researching anthropogenic impacts on water quality. But most recently, I was working with a seafood nonprofit on making seafood supply chains more transparent and traceable. And for those of you that are familiar at all with seafood supply chains, they are notoriously opaque and contain rampant misinformation, both intentionally and accidentally. And so we worked with international governments and businesses to try to get them to digitize and decentralize their seafood supply chains. And so one of the tools that we referred folks to was blockchain and decentralized ledgers as a way to trace their seafood across the globe. And so that got me personally really excited about how else we might be able to leverage decentralized technologies for social good initiatives, whether it be human rights, environmental, et cetera. So that's a bit about me. What about you, Kaitlin?
Hi, everyone. Oh, is this working?
I don't know. It's kind of quiet.
I can just speak loudly if need be.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So, hi, Kaitlin. I am also a social impact program manager. And prior to Filecoin Foundation, I led a grants administration team at Silicon Valley Community Foundation, where we facilitated over 19,000 in grants annually for both individuals and for corporations. One of the fun facts about Silicon Valley Community Foundation is we were one of the first in the US to both receive gifts in cryptocurrency as well as grant out in cryptocurrency. So that kind of opened my eyes to blockchain technology and decentralized technology. But after spending ample time with donors and helping support their giving strategies, I wanted to be closer to the decision-making process to be able to influence it and make it more equitable. And I saw a lot of potential in our Web3 donors. And so when I saw an opportunity to hop over to Filecoin Foundation, whose organizational values align with my personal values, I went for it.
Great. So yeah, that's a bit about us. And today, over the course of the next 15 minutes, we're going to tell you about the work of social impact across these two organizations, about why we work, how we work. We're going to talk about some real-life examples from our project partners of nonprofits, et cetera, that are leveraging blockchain and decentralized tech, and then also highlight some opportunities for you all to engage with us and our work. So diving into the why, social impact has three main reasons for why we do the work that we do. And so the first is trying to build, protect, and preserve the digital commons. We really want to preserve humanity's most important information and make sure that no one single entity owns it. It can't be compromised or abused and remains in the hands of the public. And so we, as Paige mentioned, the title of our talk isn't up there, but it is, we can't build the digital commons alone, and we really mean that, we can't. And so we partner with everyone from nonprofit organizations to developers, archivists, activists, communicators, educators, et cetera. The second reason why we do the work that we do is to realize some of the potential benefits of decentralized storage, such as Filecoin, for social impact initiatives. As many of you know, decentralized storage is so much more than just a cheaper, more cost-effective way to store your data. It has a myriad of other benefits. So Ali mentioned some of them, Molly mentioned some of them, but I'll reiterate. So censorship resistance is one. We know that data stored in a geographically distributed way can't be subject to jurisdictional or geographic censorship restrictions in the same way that Web 2 data is. We also know that because of that geographic distribution of data storage, data is more resilient. There's no one single point of failure. We also know that data stored in blockchain systems is more transparent because it has that central public ledger. And then finally, it's immutable because of that ledger. It can't be altered, or it can, but it's a lot of work and everyone sees that it has changed. And then the final reason for why social impact does our work is because we really want to expand the use of decentralized technologies to empower and serve global needs. A lot of folks in Web3 talk a lot about building a better internet, by the people and for the people. But in order to make sure that really happens, we have to prioritize empowering and hearing the voices of the groups that have been traditionally disenfranchised. And so we'll talk a little bit later about some of the work we're doing in that area as well. So yeah, that's an overview of why we work. Turning it over to Kaitlin to talk about how our social impact team works.
So diving into the how. So social impact, our team provides funding to support both individuals and organizations, but most of our recipients are nonprofit organizations or mission-driven organizations. Funding comes from two separate entities. So there's Filecoin Foundation, and there's Filecoin Foundation for the Decentralized Web. Filecoin Foundation focuses on championing specific protocols and technology, including Filecoin, libp2p, and IPFS, whereas Filecoin Foundation for the Decentralized Web, which I'll probably refer to as FFDW moving forward to save my breath on this hot summer day, supports all open decentralized technology and protocols. It is tech agnostic. An important distinction to make here is Filecoin Foundation is a for-profit organization, whereas Filecoin Foundation for the Decentralized Web is a nonprofit private operating foundation. So the key thing to know here is that FFDW, because of our ethos and also because of our tax classification status in the US, which I won't bore you on those details, we are more focused on collaboration and actively engaging with our community of project partners rather than just writing a check and submitting it. Our social impact work is guided by three main goals, which we call our ABCs. The first is to accelerate the adoption of open decentralized technologies. The second, B, is to build communities of champions to support open and decentralized technologies. And C is to communicate the values and the benefits of open decentralized technologies. Now, how we achieve this, there are a few ways we approach our funding for projects. In 2022, our portfolio of awardees were categorized into three high-level focus areas, which are research, education, and development. For research, we are looking to fund projects that develop legal and regulatory guidance and frameworks to assist the Web3 community. We're also looking to support projects that conduct market research to better understand the gaps and needs of the global community when it comes to technology. We're also looking to support exploration. So we want to identify new and compelling use cases for us to share about, which transitions well into our next bucket, which is education. So decentralized technology can be very difficult to wrap your head around as a newcomer, and it doesn't have to be. So this line of effort is created to share resources and provide learning on-ramps to teach folks about the values and benefits of decentralized technology, both to the public and to policymakers. We also empower users and creators, projects supporting young developers, as well as those folks who just want to upskill their skills, to level up their skill set, so they can quickly adopt and contribute to open decentralized technology. Last, we have development. So we aim to foster creation of a digital decentralized library alongside online archivists, activists, coders, creators. And we want to fund and partner with projects that include tools to allow culturally significant organizations, such as nonprofits, galleries, libraries, museums, to easily access and use open decentralized technology. That was a mouthful. So there are too many incredible project partners for us to go into detail about each one here today, or I'd be keeping you here till dinner time. So we'll just wrap up with a few specific projects.
Yes, so I will talk about three. And I will couch them in the benefits that I mentioned earlier. So the first benefit I'll speak to is auditability and transparency. And so some of our project partners are working to preserve and authenticate documentation of human rights injustices across the globe. And they do that through partnering with community-based decentralized web archival initiatives. To ground that in a concrete example for you all, just a few weeks ago, one of our project partners submit a dossier of evidence of documentation of war crimes on the front lines in Ukraine. They submit that to the International Criminal Court. And so that was the first ever dossier of evidence of its kind that leveraged blockchain for its verification and authentication potential. Yeah, big deal. It was awesome. And so we're continuing to explore how else blockchain might be a critical tool for activist and human rights and justice documentation and verification. Another benefit I mentioned earlier is censorship resistance. We partner with folks who are supporting investigative journalism through increasing access to primary source documents, largely obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests. In France, it is called the Free Access to Administrative Documents legislation, but they make it easier for journalists and activists to access, annotate, and analyze primary source materials hosted on decentralized technologies. The last benefit I'll mention is that immutability component. Some of our project partners are working to fight link rot. And fun fact about link rot, in 2021, the Harvard Law School and New York Times did a study where they looked at over 2 million URLs and found that over 25% of those URLs were either completely broken or went to inaccurate sources. And this starts to become really important when you think about the importance of this in legal cases. So when lawyers and judges are trying to reference like case citations or earlier precedents and then the links just no longer work, who knows what sorts of obstacles we'll face if this isn't tackled. So a lot of our project partners are working to provide web archiving tools to authors, scholars, lawyers, etc., so they can store their links in an immutable way in the long term. So those are some examples. Kaitlin, would you like to add some more?
Yeah, so as mentioned earlier, to realize the benefits that Brynn just mentioned, we really need to educate and grow our community. So we're focused on two main audiences. That's the general public and policymakers. On the policy side, we have a project partner we signed on that is placing diverse tech talent, ideas, and training into legislators' offices, placing computer scientists, developers, engineers, and other talented technologists as advisors in one-year fellowship programs. Another project partner we have more focused on general public education is focused on bringing decentralized tools to 6 different communities that aren't conventionally going to be the first to adopt new technology. They're partnering these communities with tech experts to help support them with navigating this journey. And at the end of the project, they're going to produce some content to share about their learning experience and pay it forward for others who are looking to dive into this technology. But we're just getting started on expanding our educational impact initiatives, and we really need your help.
We do. We can't do it alone. I'm going to mix up our order. Can we have your help passing stuff out right now? So you all have a second to fill these out. Before we dive into some opportunities for you to engage with our work, because again, we can't do it alone, we have a question for you all. We've talked today a lot about how we're trying to preserve humanity's most important information, but like what does that mean? It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And so we'd like to hear from you all what you think is humanity's most important information that should be stored on the long term. The more specific you can get, the better. Are there data sets, like environmental data sets, or instead of saying something like literature, what literature? What things are at risk of potentially being lost that you think should be stored? And or what do you think are data sets that might be able to support some of the benefits that we've mentioned today? And so this is my attempt at like the confidential take on that stamp. Kaitlin and I are both going to have envelopes, and there's also one at the front desk when you leave. So come find us at the networking happy hour. I'll be hanging out in the garden. Kaitlin will be somewhere. And let us know what you think. But some other ways to engage with us, while you fill that out, hopefully, are highlighted on this slide here. So the first is to follow us on Twitter at FFDWeb, where we post about our work and the work of our project partners, as well as any upcoming opportunities.
Speaking of opportunities, so we did just close our first annual RFP. However, we're intending to reopen an RFP for 2023. So
What's an RFP?
Oh, apologies. This is my grant-making background shown in action. A request for proposals. So please submit your ideas. Stay tuned for when that opens up. Feel free to reach out to us. We also have another opportunity that you can engage in right now. They're called our Explorer Awards. So these are fast-paced, small-scale grants that are used to financially support people who are looking to learn, teach, or inspire others about open decentralized technology. They range from 1K to 10K in US dollars, and it's super light lift, no strings attached, other than a one-paragraph write-up on what you use the money for and what you gain from the experience. So some examples of like projects we're looking to fund could be an NFT exhibition or workshop. It could be an intimate salon-style dinner where you're just discussing projects about Web3 you're stoked on. It could also be some, small funds for early scoping work for a larger endeavor or grant submission. We want to hear from you, so find us after this talk or just follow the link if you want more information.
Thanks, everyone.